We are joined now by Spencer Danielson, the coach of the Boise State Broncos, reigning Mountain West champs, made the college football playoff in the first year of the 12-team model. Ashton Jeanty was everything, all world. And now, got to figure out how to get back. What's up, Coach?
That's exactly what we're working on doing. I promise you that every single day. I appreciate you guys letting me on. Been looking forward to hanging out with you guys for a little bit and fired up for the season.
Andy, let's just start here. Okay, so Spencer was in high school when you were covering the Fiesta Bowl.
We had to start with that, right?
Because we were just talking about it before we started the show, and I just want to get into it.
Well, can I tell you guys the story of that?
Sure.
How it all came to. So I was the Florida beat writer for the Tampa Tribune. So Florida was playing Ohio State in that stadium in Phoenix for the national title a week later. But you always go out a week in advance of the national title game because you have to talk to everybody. They have all the interviews and stuff. So I land on January 1st, and my buddy goes, hey, another buddy who covers the team goes, hey, you want to go to the Boise State Oklahoma game? Because they got extra seats in the press box. They told us we grab credentials. And I was like, yeah, I just want to make sure my laptop works in that press box because I'm going to be in a tight deadline situation. You know, it's going to be a night game, the national championship. I can't screw it up. So to make sure I can send a story to the paper. And so we went to that game, and I'm sitting there as it's going on, like, what is going on? Because Boise State was kicking the crap out of Oklahoma for 2.5 quarters. Mm-hmm. And then Oklahoma comes back, and then all hell breaks loose. And at the end of this game, Spencer, I kid you not, it ends. We see the play. I was like, I stand up in the press box. Was that the Statue of Liberty? And then I start to just write the story because you got to get the story in for a newspaper. And then I was going to go downstairs and interview people. I start to finish up writing the story. My boss calls me and goes, did you see what just happened on TV? I said, no. He's like, the guy who scored on the 2-point conversion just proposed to his girlfriend who's a cheerleader. I'm like, what? And I told everybody in the press box, and we all just run to the elevator.
That's right.
You know, I don't know if you guys know this. I know Spencer doesn't. I don't know if I've ever told you this, Andy, but I completely messed up my proposal to my wife. Because I don't know if you guys had this great scheme. I had this great scheme, and I had all of her friends fly in, and we're gonna meet us at a bar that night. But I knew she would catch me if I pulled over on the way to the bar, and I didn't know what to do. So I panicked and I proposed to her in our kitchen. And she's like, what are you doing? This is it?
I love it.
And I'm and it was just for the 2 hours between my proposal and the dinner that it all made sense at the end of the night. But she was like, what the hell was that? Did you nail your proposals? Because I'm trying to think that's the best proposal of all time.
I was 21. I proposed on the spot where we met. It seemed appropriate, and it was in a bar because that's where we met. So I don't think it was that great. Spencer, how did you propose to your wife?
I was 25 down in San Diego. We went. I was more nervous for the proposal than I was for the wedding. I was nervous. I went to I don't even know if it's a real diamond now. Let's call it what it is. I went to downtown LA with $500 to get a ring. Just graduated from Azusa Pacific. I don't know, 2-3 years earlier, and we're going on a walk in Mission Bay in San Diego, and we get back to I was driving an old Honda Civic that was a stick shift, and my wife didn't know how to drive stick, so I didn't push the stick or the stick down, and I couldn't not start the car. I'm like, well, shoot. I guess we can't drive. I'm thinking I'm slick, right? I'm like, oh, I'm wooing her into this. And so we get out of the car, we start just walking by the beach. I have a bunch of my friends there. And they're hiding in the bushes. And then I drop down on one knee. I start crying. I start freaking out. I think I was able to at least get the words out. Will you marry me? I love you. She said yes. Then all my friends popped out. It wasn't a complete success, but it wasn't a complete failure either. And
you nailed it.
No, he nailed it.
I think people don't understand. People who've never proposed before do not understand the dexterity required to get down on one knee while saying some of the most meaningful words you've ever said in your life. So I essentially fell into my future wife as I tried to hit one knee because I was trying to talk and do that at the same time. And anybody who ever has played sports near me understands that I don't do a lot of two things at once very well.
No question. Yes.
So yeah, I mine was messed up because I had to weigh whether or not I proposed in front of everybody or we did it first and then surprised her later. And I think in hindsight, I wish I would have just done it in front of everyone. Which kind of brings us back to the original point of like, how do you perform in the Fiesta Bowl if I can't even like perform a proposal like in my own house, let alone in front of her friends?
Unreal.
And Spencer, I've thought about this for what's it been, like 15 years since that game now?
Yep.
Does Boise State have the hook and ladder and the Statue of Liberty play? Could you run it?
We
And
absolutely can. I can
Okay.
promise you that. Oh yeah, it's built into the fabric of this place. You better, I remember I was talking with Dirk Cutter last year, and no different than Nate Potter, offensive coordinator this year. I'm like, we better have some of those trick plays built in. Maybe formation's a little bit different. It looks a little bit different, but we got some of those up our sleeve. I promise you that.
so
It is amazing to me how much of the people who built Boise State still involved. I mean,
Yeah.
You worked for Brian Harsin.
Yep.
I know he's at Cal now, but he was living in Boise after Auburn.
Yep.
Dirk Cutter is there, one of the original head coaches that helped
Still
create
here.
it
Oh, yeah.
and then
Yep.
work there again. So he's there, and you use him as a sounding board. Don't you talk to Chris Peterson like once a week still?
Yeah, Coach Peterson is a huge mentor of mine. Right? I got to know him a little bit over the years being here, and he comes back and vacations here, still lives in Seattle, but comes back a lot. And then on Sunday, almost 2 years ago, when I got the interim head coaching job, he was the first call I made. And it wasn't like hype. It was like, what do I do right now? Like, give me some logistics. What should I do? Should I keep calling plays? Do I pass that off? And from that time, when I got the job in January or in December, I called him and said, Coach, I want you to be a part of this. I don't know what that looks like, but I want you to be a part of this. And so we Zoom once a week. I'm picking his brain constantly on leadership, logistics, and just how to be the best leader for these kids and our staff. And I don't know if there's a better guy to do it in his time than him. I mean, you talk about a guy that was ultra successful, but did it the right way and did it to build young men. Like that's what I want to do. It's not just for the rings; those fade. I want to impact kids, and he did it at elite level. So he's a huge mentor of mine.
I know that we can't belabor this for 20 minutes, but has Boise State ran either of those plays since the
Not letting it go.
No, this will be the last question, but have they run any of those plays since that Fiesta Bowl? And have you ever stopped to consider how iconic it would be if in a big moment you guys pulled one of those out of your hat and hit somebody with it again, like 20 years later? Like you have the opportunity to do the coolest thing like ever.
You're right. All right. I'm going to, right after this, I'm going to go walk in our offensive staff room and be like, hey guys, I know you might be working on something else. We got to make sure this is in. I will tell you this though. And Nick Rolovich, it was awesome. We played Hawaii in 2019 in the championship game on the blue. We ended up winning, but they ran like a version of the Statue of Liberty. And I thought that was a phenomenal deal from Nick Rolovich to be able to pull out a version of the Statue of Liberty against us.
Yeah.
It didn't end up working
because it is high
we
stakes.
stopped it, but it was good.
If it doesn't work, then you taint the memory. So like you have to figure out like what to do it, but just consider when no one sees it coming, hit them with
We're going to call it. Right when they never see it coming, we are calling it. That's a promise.
I can't wait because they're at Notre Dame this fall.
Yeah.
Maddox Madsen drops back. Oh no, where's the ball?
Yeah,
first play of the season, first 2-point conversion,
hey,
overtime.
Don't tempt me with a good time, fellas. You never have to tempt me with a good time. I'm in.
All Boise needs to do is get to one game where they do those grab ass 2-point conversion back and forth, and you're in.
That's right. Get some overtime. Let's roll.
So take me back because you mentioned when you got the interim job a couple of years ago, you get on the horn of Chris Peterson almost immediately. But take me back to that point because that was a strange situation at Boise State where you've got a firing midseason. The standard is so high at Boise State, and it at that point it had gotten to a point where Boise State was not meeting that standard anymore. What did you say to the team? How did you create that atmosphere? Because you guys went on a run after that. How did you do that?
Yeah, guys. I mean, first off, and I'm very open to this. I give Jesus all the glory because it's not because I'm so smart or so cool. I mean, I give Jesus all the glory, and I give our players and our staff in that moment where everything is pulling at them. In this moment, I'm meeting with a recruit in my office. I get a knock on the door, and it's an assistant athletic director telling me head coach has been let go. You're going to be the interim head coach, and you're going to speak to the team in an hour. I mean, we're talking. It is happening now. And I remember when I went to speak to the team, what was on my heart was just grown men finish what they start. And I talked to our team. We had 2 weeks left in our season. I told our team, guys, I don't have the answer. I don't know what's going to happen after this, but I know that we've got a great group of seniors that have been through COVID, been through head coach being let go, all these different things. Grown men finish what they start. And I'm asking you to do that for our team. And our guys did that. I mean, it wasn't because it was some great speech. That's who these players are. That's who our coaches are. And a lot of our coaches are still here with us on our staff. And so proud of them doing that, and then went off to go win the championship, which is a testament to them. And so it was one of the craziest moments of my life where you have that moment. I then come home. My wife is crying, taking pictures off the walls. I mean, it's just, you talk about just craziness going on. But I show up to work on Monday. Our players are in here watching film. Our coaches are working their tails off. And went on a run, and we were able to win a championship. And we're just so thankful for that moment. And even when I tell this, even when we won the championship game, and our players are like waiting. We have the best athletic director in the country in Jeremiah Dickey, and I'll be very open about that. He's elite. Our players are like waiting for him to tell him, like, you better hire Coach D. You know, like, I see the line. I'm like, oh, geez. And I get on the plane. I've got the championship trophy. I've got our championship hat. I mean, we hadn't won a championship in a couple of years, and that's high standards here at Boise State, as there should be. And so I'm going on the plane. Players are dancing. I sit down in my seat, and JD, our athletic director, sits next to me, hits me on the leg, and says, "Really good job with the team, Spence." And we didn't talk the rest of the flight. And I'm like, what is about to happen? And by the grace of God, the next day I was offered the job. And so it's an awesome moment.
What was happening on that flight? Was it silent? Like that flight? Like, take me through where you were while you were, like, I mean, if somebody goes, great job, I would have been like, well, do I have one? Like, I mean, like,
correct. Like, that's exactly right. I should have said that. But yeah. So we have all our players sit in the front. And so when I get on last, and so I'm carrying the trophy. I mean, it is pandemonium on this plane. I mean, our players they're going crazy. And by the time we, sit down to take off is when me and JD have this conversation. My wife's sitting right next to me, the aisles in between me and our AD, and that's all he says. But I was at peace because I love these kids. And I was like, you know what? These seniors now don't have an asterisk next to their senior year. Like, well, that's the year head coach got fired and they didn't do anything. Like, they finished that season and won a championship, which is the standard here, and just so proud of them. So I was at peace. As much as it was stressful driving home, like, I don't know if I got to go to work tomorrow or not, but we'll find out.
Well, and you tell a story about the going home the day the head coach gets fired and your wife's taking pictures off the wall. It reminds me of Dabo Sweeney told me the story of the day Tommy Bowden got fired at Clemson in 2008. And he's found out he's going to be the interim. The AD's brought him in, and he's like in this little supply closet calling his wife to fill her in on what's going on. He said, all right, so I've got bad news. Tommy's been fired. And he's like, and I've got more bad news. They made me the interim. And because at that point, no interim ever got the job. Like, it wasn't even something people thought about. But it's amazing to see what he's developed. And I'd heard that you've been in contact with him a little bit about how you want to build your program and how you want to, especially in this era of NIL, because he's done it a little bit differently. Yes. And it sounds like you kind of want to do something similar.
Yeah, Dabo Sweeney's become another really big mentor for me. We're really close. I think the world of him. I went out to Clemson to see him last offseason in February, and I'm open about this. I've watched him from afar for years. When I was playing in college and watching him and seeing him, just who he is, how he gives glory to the Lord, and how he impacts the players and does it at an extremely high level. I mean, consistently winning ACC championships, 2 national championships, and does it the right way. When I go to see Dabo in February, he calls me when I'm on the Uber, or I got a rental car, excuse me. I was driving my rental car to the hotel. He calls me. He's like, where are you at? He's like, where are you staying? I tell him I'm staying at the Marriott or whatever it is. He's like, all right, cool. And then he hangs up. I'm like, wow, Dabo called me. That's so nice of him to see, like, if I'm good. And I'm nobody. I'm like, I'm just, he doesn't know me from Adam. He's waiting for me at the hotel to greet me when I come to Clemson to meet with him. I mean, that's just who he is. You talk about a 10 out of 10 just person, let alone coach, husband, father. I mean, I think the world of Dabo and how he's done it and does it the right way, puts the kids first and always focused on having an impact. That's my heart. And that's where, for us, when I became the head coach, like our culture is defined as built different here. And that is defined as building champions on and off the field by doing common things in an uncommon way. Like, that's what we want to do here. It's not about all the other stuff. Like, what we focus on is building champions on and off the field. And that's what we double down on here.
I think the thing that's interesting about your job, and probably has changed dramatically since the time in which you landed from that anxiety-filled flight, is how not only do you have to like coach your kids and bring them along and help them mature and all the things from a football and life standpoint, you also have to decide how you want to, design your program. You have to be an architect, and like, how do you build this thing? How do you make sure that you can do it your way while also maintaining the standard? And that's got to be difficult. And I think that Dabo Swinney's probably a great, mentor for you, but obviously, his program and your program have different challenges. Mm-hmm. How do you take advice from somebody like Dabo, who you admire, who's been, in your corner, and mold it to what works for Boise?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. I think with Dabo and some of the, and I try to call a lot of, there's a lot of things I'm learning on a daily basis. Dabo's a huge one that I talk to. And a lot of it with Dabo is more just, what are you focused on? Like, what is the messaging? What are you trying to get done? Maybe they might have more of something, but we can still, I believe that we can accomplish everything we want to here at Boise State. And I believe we have more than enough. Just like anything, we need to continue to push forward. But in the NIL, collective spaces, recruiting, management, schedule, fall camp, there's a lot of things that I want to see how other guys are doing it so we can create the best version for us. And that's really what I do. Going down there to see him was awesome to see how they ran practice. I was able to steal a couple different drills they use and a couple things they do with each other, a couple culture things that he does in regards to accountability. So there's a lot of things that I've been able to pull from him, from Coach Peterson, from other head coaches around the country that I believe have a heart to impact the kids and not just in it to win games. Obviously, I'm a competitor just like everybody else is. I want to win every game we play, and I believe we're called to that. But I want to do it the right way and have an impact on these kids to where, and I think it's cliche, but I know, like it says in the book of Luke, to whom much is given, much is required. I know at some point I'm going to answer for how the players in my program are 20 years down the road. That's what keeps me awake at night. And I want to make sure we're growing them spirit, soul, and body every single day. And I know when you do that, they're going to be better football players. They're going to make the right decision on fourth down. And so, long-winded answer to your question, I apologize. I pull a lot of things from. Some things fit, some things might not fit because we're in a different situation. That's okay.
Well, in that situation, though, because you've done a good job and your predecessors did an incredible job also of finding these diamonds in the rough and then developing them into great players. In this era of college football, how do you make sure those players stay? Keeping Ashton Jeanty, because I know a bunch of schools were after Ashton Jeanty last offseason. How do you keep the next Ashton Jeanty and make sure he stays at Boise State until the end of his career?
Yeah, great question. First off, I think you got to find the right kids. And I tell our staff all the time, we don't need to find 5,000 players that fit Boise State. We need to find the right 20, 25 every year, whatever that number is. We need to find the right ones. And we recruit where talent sets the floor. What is talent? How tall someone is, how fast someone is, whatever. That's their talent. We can view that on film. We can see that. But we believe here that character sets the ceiling. You talk about a kid with a high ceiling. That's the floor is high because their talent, but more importantly, their character is through the roof. That's passion for the game, loves football. That's high football intelligence. No one's going to outwork them. So I double down on those things in recruiting because if you find the right ones, they're going to want to come to Boise State. Maybe there's another place that can pay them more and all that stuff. Like I want guys that fit here, that want their life to be changed and developed here. If you find those guys, they're going to come here. They're going to not only come here, they're going to come here and become really good football players, and they're going to stay so we can change their lives. So that's our model, and it's something we're working at every single day to find the right players. And when you find the right ones, you can develop them to be elite football players, and they're going to stay here in this program.
Spencer, I don't know how much you guys or people in your position spend on, consuming content and thinking about things like the House settlement and the expansion of the college football playoff and seeding and all the things that we're bogged down by every day. But from a playoff perspective, having been the first G5 team in this era to make that field and, to advance into not just out of the first round through a bye, like, do you have an opinion on what it should be or what's just for everyone in this new system as we're trying to kind of iron that out?
Yeah, I'm asked that question a lot, and it's a great one.
Yeah.
My heart is always with every FBS team going into last season. We all knew what the rules were. Like there was no gray area, and you have to win these games, win a championship, and then that gives you an opportunity to play in the college football playoff. For me as a competitor and leading our program, as long as every school has a shot, then it's on us as competitors, as coaches, as players to go put the work in to get an opportunity to play in the college football playoff. So with them changing maybe this or that, with getting a first round bye and those things, to me, it's people can have their opinions as long as we always have a shot. Then we got to go out and win the games. We got to go out and do what it takes. But you better give me a shot. And right now, as long as we still have a shot, that's our focus, because those are outcomes down the road. I get asked a lot, are you going to make it to the playoff again? Well, we got to make sure we have the best June 19th we've ever had, June 20th, June 21st, and then the outcomes will take care of themselves. So I try my best to not focus on some of the things that I don't directly control. No one called me in regards to what my thoughts were on the college football playoff to make changes. So as long as they give us a shot, we're going to work our tails off to get back.
We had this discussion on the show a few weeks ago, Spencer, and because somebody had asked us, one of the viewers had asked, would it be better if the schools with all the most money, they had their own playoff, and then the group of 5 schools had their own playoff? And we said, okay, let's ask the fans of those schools. And Boise State fans wrote in, and Appalachian State fans wrote in, and different fan bases wrote in and said, we want a shot. Like we want to play in that playoff. I imagine that's the same way the players and coaches feel too.
Absolutely. Yeah, we just want a shot. I mean, and I believe in, and I know everybody in June is going to talk about how great their team's going to be, and that's just the reality. But I believe that every coach has an opportunity to build and develop their roster to give themselves the best shot to win the games they need to go to the college football playoff. Some years you do, some years you don't. That's football. The ball rolls differently. That's football. But as a competitor, I want to recruit and build a program that always has a shot to play in the college football playoff. And especially at Boise State, and this is not because of me. I mean, since the turn of the century, there's only a couple teams in the country that's won more football games than Boise State. We've had 27 consecutive winning seasons. So when you have that kind of history, that kind of tradition, our fan base, Bronco Nation, our players, we just want a shot. Then it's our job to go put the work in, and creating different playoff models. Like, I don't like that one bit. Give us one playoff model where we all can get a shot. If it's 12 teams, 16 teams, whatever, that's up to us to go win those games, but don't separate it. Give us all a shot to go play in a college football playoff game and win a national championship.
Yeah, Boise State's the poster child of the entire college football playoff discourse for my entire adult life. Like, this isn't just like 1 year. Like, this Boise State was, why didn't they have a shot?
2006, 2009. Yeah.
I was 16 years old when that stuff was going on. Andy is old, by the way, Spencer. It's embarrassing how old he is.
Yeah, all these head coaches calling me sir now is getting very disturbing.
But the thing that I think is fascinating, though, is that we have to acknowledge in college football that Alabama and Ohio State and Georgia are working with a different set of resources than everyone else, right? Even sometimes teams in their own conferences. And I think that it is interesting to try to dissect the mindset of places, and Boise State is certainly closer to Georgia than some of the other teams in this pantheon or this discussion of, would you rather have a shot at the teams that have everything, or would you rather compete with the teams that are more built like you from a population standpoint, a money standpoint, a resources standpoint? And it's always go take the biggest shot at the biggest dog that you possibly can, right? Like, that's how you think, that's how their fans think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, it's, you got to find And I agree. I was talking with a coach the other day, and I even saw a tweet from, I think, Brett Bielema, where it's like, if we're all shopping at Walmart, let's all shop at Walmart. If we're all shopping at Louis Vuitton, let's all shop at Louis Vuitton, right? And I get that. For me, as long as we can continue to recruit the right kids and we can keep them and develop them, I believe we can go play with anybody in the country. Now, that's a lot. That's hard to do that consistently in this model where the amount of money that's being used in college football and what have you. I get that. But I know every game we lined up against last season, I did not feel outmatched. There were some players on the other side of the ball against some teams. You're like, those players are really good, but we have really good players too. And no different this season. I believe in our team. We're going to play some guys that have really good football players from game one all the way through. But as a competitor, it's our job to train our players, to build them to be the best version of themselves. And then at some point, put the ball down. Like, it's 11 on 11. This is a game. It's not a computer generated deal. Like, that ball is going to get caught or not. It's going to get intercepted or not. That guy's going to be tackled or not. And it's our job to grow our team. And when you find the right kids, we're going to develop them because they're high ceiling. And I believe that we will consistently have a team to compete with anybody. That is our job to go do it. So for me, that's how I'm wired. That's how this place is built. It's always been that way. And I love that about this community. I love that about Bronco Nation, where it's anybody, any place, anytime. And then let's go play the game. Everybody else is going to have their opinion. And I'm with you in college football and where it's going, where you can see guys that I've heard about some of these rosters that last year and even this year, maybe even more in regards to money. But at some point, they got to go play football. And who has the closest team, who's got the tightest culture, and we got to make sure that we do that here.
All right, Spencer, before we let you go, we ask everybody this before they sign off. What is your rule for life?
Mm-hmm. Well, I got 3 guys, and this was told to me when I was in college. I played at Azusa Pacific, and one of our linebackers coach, Bo Beatty, he told me 3 things, and now it's on my wristband. It's written all over my office. And the first one is love Jesus. Second one is work hard. Third one is treat people right. And for me, I'm by no means perfect. I'll screw up more than anybody. But if I can keep my faith and love Jesus, that's my foundation. If I can outwork people and everybody I come in contact with, I want to treat them right. And I want them leaving any conversation feeling empowered. If I can do that every single day, I believe that that's success for me.
Your 3 or more, I have a 3-prong one too, and yours are more global than mine, I think. Mine is never complain about free food, never complain about free beer, never skip leg day. And I feel like you do all right with those 3, but I think with your 3, probably a little more universal.
I screw a lot of those up, so I probably should.
Yeah. Mine is don't order cuisine from restaurants that specialize in multiple types of cuisine. So
love that. Love that. That's where you go to In-N-Out or Chick-fil-A.
Nobody's good at making pizza and tacos.
Yeah, if they have pizzas and tacos on the menu, get the hell out of there.
Correct. I love that.
I think you accomplished your goals here on our show. Your rules, Spencer. Thanks so much for your time, man. It was really awesome catching up with you, and it's going to be awesome watching you guys this year.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for letting me on. It was great hanging out with you. I could do this all day. Appreciate it.
That was spectacular. Thanks you so much. That was awesome.